Good morning, all. Welcome to second day of Research College Day series of events. I hope you had a great time yesterday, and today is the most power-packed day. Like we have sessions starting from 9 a.m. until 8 p.m. today. So don't miss any of them. So it's going to be exciting. To give a very great and enthusiastic start for the day, we have Dr. Arpan Yagnik here, who is an expert in creative aerobics. As we all know, creativity is something which is going to change the future, and it really fuels innovation. So today, Arpan Yagnik will be giving us some insights on how to use life of students as well as researchers, and how to incorporate this into your regular work. So he's a TED speaker and published author of peer-reviewed journals, and he is also the author of the book Creative Aerobics. And yeah, he has many awards to his eminence. And I would like to give the mic to Dr. Arpan Yagnik. Sir, sir, you can start.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that warm welcome. I am very excited and stoked about sharing something that is very close to my heart. And I hope that after this talk, this one interaction, it becomes close to you as well. So this whole talk about creativity, and I have a PowerPoint. Let me share that as well so that we can all go together. This came about, and when I was contacted about this for about 2 months ago, something that really caught my eye was the theme of Shunya, zero. And especially in the work that I do in creative aerobics, there is a concept which very closely aligns to Shunya and zero, and I'll be talking about it as well in one of the slides. But I really hope that you are all settled. It's a warm morning over there, I believe, and you've all had some good breakfast. So let us get this going. So this is something that you all are quite familiar with. It is something that many of you have done. It brings nostalgia. It brings some fond memories of when you were a child. And you by now already also have a picture emerging from this, like, what will be the end game over here. This is a very important uh, sort of a metaphor over here. And our life so far, in a lot of ways, has been like this. We acquire certain knowledge, we develop certain knowledge systems, and we apply them. And there are certain steps that we follow. And here, the knowledge of number system, and you can either follow the ascending order or the descending order. You know about it, you can follow, and regardless of what you choose, eventually a beautiful picture is going to emerge. And that is the sort of guarantee that we all have, that if we do certain things, if we fill out certain check boxes, a beautiful picture is going to emerge. Something similar I also thought when I was growing up, that hey, if I go to school, get good marks, then go to college, then get a job, things will work out like that. But I started realizing early on that this is not how life works. Increasingly now, than before 15 or 20 years ago when I started thinking about these things. There were a lot of changes, but these changes were extremely subtle. It was like a slow moving glacier. The top layer was moving very slowly, but there was a lot of movement which was not visible. And I took some drastic steps in my life, changed my path absolutely, and I ended up in a situation where I'm very happy with myself. And I hope that after this talk, one of the things, long-term goal that I have is that by using creativity and creative aerobics, you become happy with yourself. Because when you are happy with yourself, you also develop this ability to go a little bit beyond and help others and do good for others. And I'm sure that most of you over here, you're looking to do good and bring about a positive change in the society and so on. So life for me was like this, and I was just, joining one dot after the other. And so far, most of you guys and girls are also doing the same. However, if you have not realized it, and if you have not seen it, peace is in danger. For a lot of things to be accomplished, we require a certain form of peace. For a lot of elaborative good to happen, you require peace. But peace is an endangered entity now. You pick any place on this planet, there is trouble brewing. It is simmering. South America, Central America, North America, Africa, Europe, Middle East, Southeast Asia. There is trouble everywhere. So, although they say that we are enjoying one of the longest periods of peace, but there is trouble brewing everywhere. In addition to that, stability is extinct. There is no certainty, there is no guarantee. Today, you have a job, forget tomorrow. Today evening, you might not have one. Today, you are enjoying good health. Tomorrow, we are definitely seeing the same with the surge, the second surge of the coronavirus pandemic in India. I think we have crossed 85,000 numbers in day yesterday. So many things are unstable, they are uncertain. We are constantly on a war mode. We're constantly, fighting fires everywhere. We're constantly, yearning for that little piece of peace and stability. We are living in what has been long referred to as the VUCA world: volatility, uncertainty, ambiguity. These are all what there is left. And we have to still, create a beautiful picture for us. We still have to join the dots. The only problem is those dots don't exist. Those dots don't align. Those dots don't have any numbers. So using some of our current knowledge systems, we are unable to create that beautiful picture that we want to. And this has baffled us, many of us. It has caught us, in a very vulnerable state where of course we are going to bounce back. There's no option, but it has caught us off guard. So with some of these things, while technology has played a great role, but if you ask a certain group of scholars, they say that there is not a real sort of invention or a discovery that has happened like in the last decade, except for GANs, the adversarial network sort of thing. But so we really have to now, come out of this quicksand. What is something that is going to help us get out of this? And that is creativity. Creativity is not easy. And the reason why I say this is because it's challenging, it's layered, it's enigmatic, it's puzzling, it's nebulous. Creativity is something that you have to put effort. Creativity is, a developed ability. It is an acquired trait. So creativity is not easy, but it can be trained. It can be enhanced. It can be, inculcated in your daily life, in your daily routine, in your research. Creativity as a field of research, I'll just give you a brief overview of when it started. American Psychological Association, APA, in 1950, its president, J.P. Guilford, he gave an address where he said that creativity is something that must be studied. And then there was some interest that was gathered. People who were studying the concepts and notions of intelligence, they started looking at creativity, and it went on. But systematic research in creativity and systematic agency of creativity as a subfield or a field did not really start, like some 30 years ago, and it is still not there yet. So it is still very nascent. It was sort of a foster child in psychology, and then there were some other, allied disciplines that picked up on it a little bit here and there. But it is very difficult to quantify. There are so many measures, there are so many different ways to look at it. Where does creativity lie? Is it in the person? Is it in the process? Is it in the place? Is it in the product, the output? There's just so many complications. So proper explication of creativity, although tremendous efforts have been made, has not really happened. So I'm not going to go into all of that, although that is a phenomenal opportunity for research for many of you who might be interested in it, developing scales, items and instruments for measuring creativity in different domains. There is creativity in kids, which is different from creativity in engineers. Purdue did some research, I believe, in 1960s or 70s, where they were trying to measure creativity amongst engineers. After that, maybe one or two more attempts have been made to measure creativity among engineers, because the verbal and the literal aspects of creativity or the measurements, they say that if you are trying to test or examine the strength of alligator in flying, that's not what is a good strategy to do so. You have to measure its strength in the water, in its arena, in its core domain. So what are some of the ways that you can measure creativity or enhance creativity among engineers, different types of engineers, different fields of engineering? So this is a huge area of research, and I encourage many of you to look into it, because this is going to be very important, and your contribution in this area, if you happen to do so, will be path breaking. So creativity is something that is like an elusive unicorn. If you all want it, we all want to have it, but it's just not available that easily. So what is creativity? Let's very quickly look at it. There are many definitions of creativity, some of the ones that are common that about, and I'm not going to get into some of those typical ones. The ability to share or come up with original ideas that have a value and things like that. This is a very special explanation which I'm going to share with you, and I'm sharing with you right now. And if you want to locate this, you will have to go to the FAQ section of MacArthur Genius Grant webpage. MacArthur Genius is one of the most prestigious honor that an individual can receive. And this is in my humble opinion, because most awards and rewards, they come with certain types of strings attached. Somebody has to nominate you, you have to apply for it. But MacArthur Genius is something where you cannot apply for it, no one can nominate you. And there is a secret team of individuals that actually follows you and your work for sometimes decades, not 6 months or 1 year, but decades. And then they choose you for this honor, and then they give you quite a substantial amount of money, more than $500,000, with no strings attached. You can do whatever. You can just put it in your bank and live on an island for the rest of your life. But of course, people who are so dedicated and committed, they don't do that. So this is the explanation of creativity from the MacArthur Genius website. It's in the FAQ section if you want to go and look it up. What does it say? That creativity is a drive and ability. It's two things. It's not just one. It's not just ability. It's also about the attitude. It's about this, drive, that zeal from within to make something new or to connect the seemingly unconnected. We started this talk with, this exercise about connecting the dots. But as we enter this world where peace is endangered and stability is extinct, some of these dots, they don't exist. So how are you going to connect them? You still have to make meaning. You still have to, create a context out of nothing. How are you going to do that? So creativity is this element that allows you to make something new or to connect the seemingly unconnected in significant ways. The term significant is very important. And you all, especially being from the research background, I don't have to go much into detail. Otherwise, I usually have to dedicate anywhere between 5 and 7 minutes to explain the meaning of the term significant the way we understand it. So as to enrich, in connect these seemingly unconnected, insignificant ways to enrich our understandings of ourselves. As medical science progresses, we know a lot about ourselves, but still there's so much that we do not know about ourselves, the way we work, our brain. There are just so many puzzles that are unsolved yet. There is so much about our anatomy. There is so much about our behaviors. There is so much diversity amongst ourselves that we still don't know a lot about ourselves. So here we are trying to connect these dots, which are unconnected, to enrich our understanding of ourselves, our communities. If we are complex, our communities are made of many, many complex interactions. So Just imagine all the interaction effect that's working out there, and making a community, the world, the universe. I think I just read that very recently we realized that the size of our galaxy, somebody started measuring it, and it is not what we thought. It was, much bigger than we anticipated it. What do we know about exoplanets? Planets that are beyond our solar system. So there's so much more to know and understand, but it can't happen just by not developing this ability and drive to create something new or to connect the seemingly unconnected. And creativity can take many different forms, and that's the beautiful thing about this. You can ask questions that open fields of different inquiries as yet unexplored. There is so much. Who knew there would be so much 1 year ago, that there would be so much to know and learn and explore about coronavirus? It was not even on any radar or map, or it was not a research agenda that was actively being discovered or sought after. But there are so many questions that have emerged. There are so many different explorations that had to be conducted, and many different fields, all the way from production facilities, a lot of engineering required in the development of masks and whatnot. The entire vaccine in the US over here, it was all under the banner of Operation Warp Speed, where vaccines were developed. India did a phenomenal job with its developing its two vaccines, and it is providing vaccines to a huge portion of the world, is what I understand. And according to the last estimate, India has already vaccinated close to 65 million people, which is pretty phenomenal. So creativity can take many forms. Innovative solutions to perplexing problems. Hunger is still a problem. Malaria is still a problem. We are pretty much on the last verge of eliminating polio, but there are so many. Pollution is such a problem. Practically every day we hear about the bad quality of air in New Delhi, and how it's so bad that you can't go out, you can't keep your windows open. These are perplexing problems, and we've got to solve them. And the existing means have not worked yet. We have also come at a point and a juncture in our life that we cannot go back on some of these things. If somebody asks you to not use vehicles, not use some of the modern amenities, our dependence on them, our reliance on them has increased so much that it's not easy to go back on some of these advances. We cannot go back to the Stone Ages and live like that, which means that we have to come up with some really, really innovative ways to solve these perplexing problems. What is required? Research, creative problem solving is needed. How are we going to solve the problem of microplastics? Something to think about. And of course, I'm sure there's so many different initiatives are going on. Just the other day, I heard of something called the Great Bubble Barrier. Plastics that go into river, that flow into the river, they are now using bubbles and creating barriers, and this is known as the Great Bubble Barrier. Bubbles are, they just use oxygen and some kind of air to create this barrier, and bubbles, they always rise up. And the beauty of this is that it will channel up to 97% of pollutants and it will channel it into a recycling and a waste processing facility, but it will not inhibit the marine and the aquatic life from moving across. Fishes can go through the bubble barrier, but the plastic and other pollutants, they cannot. So some of these are very innovative solutions. These are also novel methods, tools, art forms. We need these to entertain ourselves. Ideas from different disciplines into wholly new constructions. Right now, there's so much research, technology is coming together with computing, with media, telecommunications. These are coming, different understanding from different fields are being, fused together. Interdisciplinarity is becoming huge. Bioinformatics, different aspects of data visualizations and data science, big data, all of these things. There's so much more to be done. There's so much learning from some of the traditional disciplines. Digital humanities are coming up in a huge ways, in huge ways. So all these fusions of different disciplines, it is only possible by seeing certain things that are not being seen yet, and you require a creative brain for that. The last one is my favorite one, and that is producing works that broaden the horizons of our imagination. The very thought that our imagination has some kind of a horizon is a bit scary. And now, if there is a force, if there is an element that can broaden the horizon of our imagination, that's got to be a phoenix force. It is something that we have to absolutely make a part of our life. And that is something that I hope that you take away from this talk, that creativity is a phoenix force. It can transform you, it can change not just you, but life around you, people around you, communities around you. The way you incorporate it in your research, in your work, it's just next level. It is going to give you a competitive edge, but your competitive edge is going to transform this world. So I hope that I've been able to explain what creativity is to you. And of course, there are so many definitions, you can look them up, but this is my favorite explanation. And I wanted you to understand what creativity is. I wanted you to get a very holistic view of creativity and the different forms that it can take. So you have to ask yourself these questions. How can we create, new constructions, new tools, new methods, novel, art forms, innovative solutions, and take this thing further. Along with this, I want you to also understand this little hierarchy, that creativity is like the crude oil. Without creativity, there are no ideas. Ideas are a byproduct of creativity. If you are creative, you can generate more ideas. And that is one of the standard tests, the ability to generate ideas, flexibility, fluency, originality. The more ideas that you are able to generate, that's because of your creativity. So creativity is like the crude oil. If there is creativity, then there are ideas. Amongst this massive universal set of ideas, there are some which gain social acceptance. They also gain commercial success. Such ideas become innovation. Engineering and technology is, there are so many successful ideas, there are so many successful innovations. But for every successful innovation, there were 100 different ideas. The form of printing press, that we see, the German one, the Gutenberg printing press, was not the first one. The Chinese were doing printing since the 12th century, but their idea or their form of printing press did not gain prominence because of certain defects or deficiencies in it, and therefore it never became the innovation that it should have. So for every one successful innovation, there are 100 or 99 failed ideas. And all of these come from creativity. So it is very important, if you are looking towards, being an entrepreneur and creating innovation, creativity is at the base of it. Without it, you can't really do much. Even if you want to be an entrepreneur within an organizational setup, if you want to work, what does an organization value? Somebody who has a lot of ideas or somebody who does not have a lot of? Creativity is consistently among the top three traits or skills that employers want from their employees. Have you gotten training for creativity? I don't think so. There are hardly any places that actually teach you creativity. A lot of people talk about ideas and innovations, but you don't really get trained in creativity. You don't really get trained in how to be creative. So through your research, there can be some pedagogical research that you can do over here, which can enhance your curriculum, and how to make students, engineering students, more creative. There's a lot of scope in this area, and there are sections within, I think, different engineering conferences which encourage such type of research. So I hope you understand this very important distinction between some of these. And now we are going to move on to creative aerobics. So I hope you all are with me so far. I've given you an understanding of what creativity is, why is it important, and now let's move on to something called creative aerobics. So we've talked about the need to be creative. So how can you be creative? There are many different strategies to enhance your creativity, to practice creativity, and creative aerobics is one of them. It is my favorite. You can say I have a biased view, but I have a rationale for why it is my favorite. So I'm sure you must have heard of the term brainstorming, and the research on brainstorming started in 50s and 60s, and it was all about idea generation. And earlier research suggested that it was, an individual brainstorming this great job and things like that. But then it was later realized that brainstorming works well in large groups. There's something called creative exhaustion. If you are just asked to generate a lot of ideas in quick succession, you're not used to it, so you get exhausted. Eventually, research in 70s came, concluded that brainstorming is the most effective in small groups, not just any type of small groups, but small, diverse groups, heterogeneous groups. Nowadays, it is very hard to find people, small, diverse groups. It is very hard to pull together a group. I love creative aerobics because here you don't need a small group. It creates these random systems within you. It creates an innate ability to utilize your left side of the brain and the right side of the brain in a synchronized and a very synergetic fashion, that you yourself become a small heterogeneous group. You develop systems, and creative aerobics has already developed a system, and all you do is just surrender to that system, and at the end of it you generate multiple solutions in quick succession. So this is the title page of the book, and you see there's so much going on. And we, Linda and I, we don't like to call creative aerobics work. It's play. Play is fun. Work can be fun, but I don't know, but play is always fun. So creative aerobics allows you to play. And as a result of this play, a lot of beautiful and amazing things come. Creative aerobics is something that has been around now for 2 decades. Students using creative aerobics have, gained or acquired more than 200 awards, national and international awards in different areas. I have been teaching creative aerobics for a while to my students, and there's so many success stories. But again, I'm not here to share these success stories to you and gloat in the glory of the past. I'm here to create some success stories. So with creative aerobics, the purpose and the goal is to fuel your imagination and broaden that horizon of your imagination. Creative aerobics is a radical ideation system. It is made up of 4 simple mental exercises. All the 4 exercises are interconnected as well as individually, they are independent. But it's a beautiful sort of a montage, if I, for lack of a better term, of these mental exercises that allow you to, enhance yourself, go into something that you did not think of, and it just makes a certain process. It's a process, it's a system. It takes the focus away from the outcome and puts it on the process, which relieves the stress. Anytime you jumping to the end solution, if you have to give the right answer, it's stressful. So we want to remove that stress and make it easy and fun for you. So this is all about, just today I'm going to talk about these mental exercises, and give you a little bit of taste of how it works and things like that. But it is a journey that you have to take. Of course, you can reach out to me at any point of time and I'll help, like I do many others, in thinking different things here. But today, this is just like a teaser, an appetizer. And later on, of course, we can engage in a much in-depth sort of things in different aspects. So the first creative aerobics is finding facts. So this is something that you do pretty well and pretty often. Facts, you all know what facts are and you find them. So you just pick, say, for example, here we are going to stick with an orange. And what are some of the facts about an orange? So if you have to do that, there are so many different ways to do that. You can go and Google it, and the bunch of facts and different information will come up. You can use your senses, your experiences. So say, for example, right now the orange is in color. It is juicy. It has different layers. It has an outer skin. It can be heavy. When it falls, it makes like a thud sort of a sound. Good oranges are found in Nagpur in India and Florida in the US. They're good in vitamin C. These are all facts. You can do so much research and you're used to it. So this is your left side of the brain. You're used to it. So creative aerobics slowly eases you into some of these things. So here, as I said again, you can use your secondary research or your primary experiences, or you can use your senses to sort of come up with a bunch of facts. Similarly, there are a lot of problems, and for these solving them or creating new processes, this one of these first steps, it helps. And here you don't even think about the problem or anything, but just take something and then start listing down everything that you know. Basically, you want to make sure that you exhaust your what it is. Everything that there is in the what it is, you have to know. So, and I'll talk about what it is and what it isn't in a while, but till then, hold your horses. Second is naming names. That's your CA2, Creative Aerobics 2. And here, we slowly move into your right side of the brain. This is where we really start going into some of the aspects of creativity, and also from the what it is to the what it isn't. Earlier we were looking at what an orange was. An orange was orange in color. Orange was juicy. It was citrus fruit. It was rich in vitamin C. Here we are going to look at what an orange is not. An orange is not an apple. An orange is not a water bottle. An orange is not a computer. An orange is not a wall. So all of these become new names. You're moving into the zone of the what it isn't. There are different strategies to do that. So if we have to say, for example, come up with new names of an orange, the first strategy is you just look around. What are some of the things that are around? Oh, there is an air duster around. There is a pair of glasses. There is a mouse. There is a monitor. There's a charger. There's a pair of glasses. There's a Wi-Fi router. There's a printer. There's a stapler. I'm in an office. So those are the things. And these are all new names. You can use one of the facts. Say one of the facts was that orange was round, or orange is round. You can take that fact, that round, and you can come up with things that are round but are not orange. So the question here would be, what are some of the things that are round but are not orange? I'm sure you are already thinking of answers over here. Some of the things that are round but are not orange are an eyeball, an actual ball like a cricket ball, the earth, the tire like wheel, that I don't know what it's called in English, but we call it ganti, the garganti, where you make all the flour of the grains. So this is another way you can use another fact. What are some of the things that are juicy but are not orange? So you can think of it in that way. Then you can create a system of random selection. Say, for example, if you have a book in front of you, you can just start looking at, randomly just opening a page and creating, like, seeing for the first noun that you see. New names have to be nouns, names have to be nouns. Directed selection, here you can create certain, rules. And this is a very important one, because you should be able to create these systems as well. So you can think of nouns that start with the letter S. A snake, a snail, a sailboard, a sailfish, a salt, and many more. You can create other systems where you can think of nouns that have one of the vowels. So like tail, 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 and things like that. So here, these are some strategies. Of course, I teach this entire thing in a 16-week course. So we go so much in depth, and we go different levels and layers, and there's so much over here, because we are actually foraying into the what it isn't over here. But I'm just giving you a very quick, rundown of this thing. With that said, this is again about the orange, and I want to talk about the what it is and the what it isn't. And this is where sort of the shunya, the zero, also comes into place. You can see that there is a circle, and you see the what it is written in it. So everything that an orange is but contained within. An orange is orange in color, it is juicy. Everything is inside of the zero. But that is not just the universe. It's like just looking at one side of the graph. There is so much more, and there is so much beyond the zero. So we have to develop ways of going into the what it isn't. There are so many solutions out there which are available but not accessible to us at the moment using our current knowledge systems. So we have to develop some new knowledge systems, some new ways of going into what it isn't and bringing back those solutions from there. So this zeroing, this shunyata, we have to stop, because in engineering there is limited research that is being done in creativity and how creativity and creative problem solving can help. We are restricted by the perimeter of the zero, of the shunya. But here, shunya gives us an opportunity of going beyond and looking beyond. And we have to, in some ways, promise ourselves to be disciplined about going into our what isn't, what it isn't. The real beauty of life, the real joy of life lies in the what it isn't. It is hard, it is challenging, there can be fear, but that's where the real life is. So for you to go into some of these path breaking aspects is what is important for you. Um, moving further, Creative Aerobics 3, CA3, is finding similarities between dissimilar objects, and this is very important, because doing this allows us the ability to see things that other people like, oh, how did you see that? How come I did not see that? So one of the classic examples over here is, what are some of the similarities between a cat and a refrigerator? And I'm sure you will also be thinking about this, but they both have milk in them. They both have a tail, the cord. They both make similar sounds. They're both cold. They're both found in the kitchen. There are so many similarities. On the face of it, there's nothing in common. They are both very dissimilar. But if you really turn on the creative switch, you will realize that there's so much similarity. I have a running bet with my students that I have a $100 note in my pocket. And if you can come up with two things that have no similarities in them, between them, then I will happily give you that $100. So far, I have not had to give that $100 away. So I still have those. And again, I openly challenge you all as well, that if any of you can come up with two things, two entities, anything in this entire cosmos or beyond this cosmos that don't have any similarity between them, I will mail you a check or cash or however online transfer that $100 to you. Another little thing, what are the similarities between a polar bear and shoelaces? And this is for you to think about, again, very dissimilar, uncommon, but you may want to think about it and you will be surprised as to how many similarities you find between them. You can use some of the same concepts in your, engineering research and things like that to come up with new ways of thinking about, new ways of fusing things together. So when you have some time, do think about the similarities between a polar bear and shoelaces. Creating new definitions, creating new meanings. This is the most complex. This is where, actually utilizing the right brain. Of course, I'm not going to give you too much, because I do want you to take, some time and read the book, go through the book. But this is one of the most complex levels, because here you actually learn to use ambiguity to your advantage. This is where you learn how to manipulate certain things and come up with some creative excellence. So giving new meanings, giving new definitions to some of the existing phrases and things like that. And for that, I highly encourage that you all to read the book and go through it and create your own journey. The book is like sort of a workbook, so you can work with it and it stays with you. So creative aerobics is about four things, four exercises: finding facts, that's your what it is; naming names, CA2, which is helps you jump into the what it isn't; CA3, finding similarities between dissimilar, here's like your real creative switch turns on; and the four, This is about manipulation and using ambiguity to your advantage, creating these opportunities, seeing those opportunities amongst, the what it is and the what it isn't, and creating different journeys, problem solving abilities, and things like that. I'm going to move towards concluding, because I do want to leave some time for question and answer. There are two things, fear and ego, and I can talk about them for an entire day. But these are two things that prevent you. Fear that, oh, nobody else is doing this work and research in creativity. It is difficult. It is challenging. That is exactly why you should do it. Nobody's doing it. It is important. Everybody wants it. Creative industries are on a rise. Creative class is on a rise. If you don't do it, you're going to be left behind. Without creativity, you are going to be stuck with one expertise. With creativity, you're going to develop multiple expertise, and you're going to, be transformed into something, a phrase that I love, Renaissance a person. If you can defeat your fear, if you can go into your what it isn't, right now you are within your shunya, you are within your zero. If you rattle yourself, think about, if you reflect, you will realize that, hey, there's so much more that I want to do, but I'm not able to do it. What is stopping you? The fact that you are not in your what it isn't is what is stopping you. And this is where you have to defeat your fear. So this is one very important concept that I'm going to talk about. And just because you are an engineer, you're going to become an engineer, doesn't mean that so many other fields are close to you. You have to find innovative and creative ways to fuse those fields and let your inner proclivities, flourish and develop. So defeat your fear and completely deplete your ego. This is one of the worst things that can happen to any human. It's just such a pathetic thing that it creates so much problems, and I don't even want to get started talking about it, because um, the bottom line is, manage your ego, be very well connected to yourself, and bring your ego down. It is something that you have to constant. It's like the game of whack-a-mole. You hit a hammer in one place, the thing comes out something else. So constantly you've got to keep it under check. You've got to defeat fear. Moving on, this is pretty much my last message to you all. Your new life is going to cost you your old one. The moment you step into your what it isn't, life is going to be new, life is going to be different. If you're too much in love with your current life, it is just going to be, your casket or your coffin. But you have to constantly break out. You have to fight entrenchment. You have to defy yourself. You have to defy the society, the norms, the zeitgeist. You have to defy some of these things. With creativity, with creative aerobics, I was able to, pay the cost of my old life. Now I'm a completely different, I'm in a liberated, emancipated state. I am the master of my life. I'm contributing to myself, I'm contributing to my community, I'm contributing to the world and the universe. But for that, I had to take a brave step of jumping into my what it isn't. So, this is my last and final message to you all, that your new life is going to cost you your old one. The moment you step out of your what it is, go into your what it isn't, emancipation, freedom, liberation, not just yours, but everyone around you, become an actual and an achievable possibility. With that, I want to conclude my message. There is a balloon. You are all like balloons. There's so much research, there's so much work to be done in adversarial networks, artificial intelligence, creative problem solving. How are we going to solve the problem of space dust, microplastics? How are we going to bring harmony amongst people? How are we going to enhance relations? How are we going to change behaviors? so many different things. The notion of intelligent design, where machines and humans come together. There's just so much work to be done, and this balloon has to rise. And creativity, as I said, is that, crude oil which helps generate these fire of ideas, and this is going to let your balloon go up. So with that, I conclude my talk. You can reach out to me, and of any of my social media handles, LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram. They're all Arpan Yagnik, just my name. Or you can also email me at arpanyagnik@gmail.com if you're interested in, really diving into some of the areas and enhancing or seeing certain ways of doing things. I'm happy to provide and lead you or hold your hand and take you a little bit in this journey, and let you further. So once again, thank you so much for very patiently listening to me. I hope I have added some value to you. I hope I have inspired you to take creativity seriously. And I sincerely hope that all your actions and decisions are inspired by creativity. And I have shared something that is very precious to me with you, and I now entrust you and put faith in you that you will take this further, make it your own, make it a part of your life, and make it a part of the lives of others, and enrich yourself and others in the process. So thank you so much. And I think we will have about a few minutes for maybe a couple of question and answers. So if there are any question and answers, I'm happy to take them.
Yeah. This is Vamika. So first of all, thank you for introducing this concept to us. And as you know, my special interest in creativity, I'm very much inclined to this. So I have a question, like, how long do you think this kind of a method or any kind of creative learning, how long does it going to take to become a part of regular curriculum of students?
It just takes one individual who takes the initiative. That's long it takes. So um, in my university, Penn State University, it's an old university. It has been around for more than 250 years. And when I looked through the curriculum, the entire course bulletin and curriculum, I was not able to find one single course that was entirely dedicated to the study of creativity. There were a few mentions here and there in a few courses. How long did it take? It just took, one person with a strong intent and a strong will to make it happen. I now have introduced a course entirely on creativity, which I teach, and it is always full and packed. And it is part of the curriculum, and it will forever stay the part of Penn State's curriculum. Similarly, as students, as researchers, you can develop curriculums and ask that, hey, I want to teach this. It can be a workshop or a seminar, and I'm 100% sure the moment it is on the page, it will fill up faster than any other regular course, because this is the need of the day, this is the demand of the day, and there is such an overwhelming support for a curriculum on creativity. And of course, if there is someone interested, I'm more than happy to work with them in developing a curriculum. I've done that. I do that on a regular basis for others. So I'm more than happy to develop a very specific course for engineers or whatever for IIT Madras. And this can be an amazing collaborative process where, it might be the first times that it's not a few people sitting in a closed room thinking about the curriculum, but it's like the reverse agenda setting. So it just requires one person, strong will and intent to make it happen.
Cool. So my last question is, like, creativity is not something like time bound. It is not like if I sit from so and so hours, I'll be able to complete this. So it is a kind of intuitive flow, right? So if we try to use this method in a corporate setting or a setting in which they have fast paced deadlines, how does one cope with it? And how do we
Right.
explain to management the required time or needs?
So there are two things over here. Creative aerobics is something that is excellent for fast-paced environment. because there is a process. Regardless of what the problem is, you just surrender to the process, and at the end of the process, you will have multiple, problems. You will be able to generate multiple solutions, not problems, solutions in quick succession. If you're not able to find a solution that aligns well with your problem, you can go through the process again, and it doesn't take time at all. You don't have to find a whole team and a bunch of people and experts and things like that, because you're going here into your what it isn't and coming up with solutions that were available but not accessible. So corporate worlds, these are things that are absolutely must. And you won't, if you follow some of these things, and once these things become a part of your intuitive self and flow, uh, you will not even need to ask for more time, because this is something that does not take time. How much time does it take to find facts? How much time you saw it takes to create a list of new names? These are all very intuitive process, and there are strategies that you can use to help you go through it. So you are like a one man supercomputer, and so much processing can be done because you don't have to come up. There are already systems, and then you just keep on jumping. There is no creative exhaustion at all. So you don't need to ask for more times and things like that, and within whatever is the given time, you can still generate solutions. You can still generate novel and innovative outcomes. You just have to surrender to the process. You don't have to create new things. Just go to the process, get everything, and you're done. So that would be my response to your question.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir, for I think it's late night for you. So despite your busy schedule, thank you for taking the time today to join and start this RSD Day 2 series of events. So yeah, as you mentioned, we'll be very happy to connect with you any suitable opportunity in the upcoming days. So I'll keep in touch. Yeah. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Bye, everyone, and good luck with the rest of the events and workshops and competition. Bye.
Thank you. So